Silliest deaths in history. History doesn't kill people when they're stupid, it kills them when they're confident, and that difference is far more dangerous than it sounds. Ignorance makes people hesitate. Confidence makes them step forward. It makes them stop double-checking, stop imagining consequences, stop asking the one question that actually keeps humans alive. What if I'm wrong? When you dig into the most unsettling deaths scattered across history, you don't find reckless idiots chasing danger for fun. You find doctors, captains, founders, professionals, people who knew what they were doing, people who had survived far worse than the moment that killed them. And that's what makes these stories disturbing. They didn't die in chaos. They died in control. They trusted systems that had worked every time before. They trusted traditions that felt safe because they were familiar. They trusted their bodies, their tools, their environment, and their own judgment right up until history proved that trust fatal. This isn't a compilation of stupid mistakes. It's a record of how progress creates blind spots, how experience dulls caution, and how intelligence can quietly become a liability. Because the most dangerous sentence in human history isn't panic or fear or confusion. It's 4 calm words spoken without hesitation. It'll be fine. Every generation believes it lives in the safest moment in human history. That belief is especially strong in the United States, where progress isn't just a reality, it's an identity. We're raised to believe that smarter systems replace risk, that better technology reduces danger, that innovation naturally protects us. And on paper, that logic works. Cars are safer than horses. Antibiotics outperform superstition. Buildings are stronger than tents. But history doesn't move forward evenly. It stumbles. Innovation sprints ahead while understanding struggles to keep up. Tools are invented before their consequences are mapped. Ideas spread before safeguards exist to catch their failures. For most of history, progress arrived without instructions. Early medicine cured symptoms without understanding infection. Exploration crossed oceans without fully respecting physics. Industrialization built machines faster than it learned how they could fail. And every time something worked often enough, humans stopped treating it as dangerous and started treating it as normal. That's how the illusion forms. The illusion that danger has been solved instead of merely relocated. Progress doesn't eliminate risk, it compresses it. Instead of frequent small failures, you get rare catastrophic ones. And when those failures happen, they don't announce themselves. They arrive quietly at the worst possible moment to the wrong person. Modern systems reinforce that illusion. Protocols, standards, and regulations create a sense of safety because they work most of the time. But systems aren't built for certainty. They're built for probability. They assume average behavior, expected conditions, and compliance with invisible rules most people never think about. When everything works smoothly, the brain interprets that as proof of safety. Over time, caution erodes. Repetition becomes trust. Trust becomes confidence. And confidence is when history sharpens its blade. The illusion of progress isn't that things don't improve, they do. It's that improvement convinces people risk no longer exists. But danger doesn't disappear. It waits in the margins, in edge cases, in moments when humans stop asking what if. And history is merciless with people who stop asking that question. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, science advanced faster than ethics. Germ theory was still debated. Infection wasn't fully understood. Oversight committees didn't exist. If a theory needed proof often meant exposure. When institutions rejected new ideas, individuals sometimes bypassed permission entirely. Not out of arrogance, but desperation. Being laughed out of the scientific community could end a career. And when no one was willing to listen, some people decided the only remaining argument was their own body. History later calls these moments heroic. But heroism is a label applied after success. In real time, these decisions were lonely, terrifying, and irreversible. When someone willingly steps into danger to prove a truth, society benefits if the theory is correct. But the cost is paid immediately by one person in full. That creates an uncomfortable moral tension. Was it bravery, or was it a failure of institutions that forced individuals to absorb all the risks? Science doesn't move forward gently. It demands evidence. And before modern safeguards, evidence often meant human exposure. These deaths weren't accidents in the traditional sense. They were transactions proof exchanged for a life. And once the proof existed, progress moved on. The person who provided it became expendable the moment their sacrifice was complete. What makes these stories unsettling isn't just the loss of life. It's how quickly society reframes them. Once the results save thousands, the death becomes acceptable, necessary, inevitable. History sanitizes the violence by calling it sacrifice. The blood fades. The lesson remains. But progress didn't arrive without cost. It simply ensured that cost wouldn't be paid again by anyone who mattered as much as the result. This chapter isn't an argument against science. It's a reminder that progress is indifferent. It doesn't pause to mourn. It doesn't ask permission. It moves forward the moment the data exists, and anyone who stands in the way, even willingly, becomes collateral. Humans relax when danger is labeled ceremonial. Parades feel safer than battlefields. Salutes feel harmless compared to gunfire. Tradition signals that the rules have changed, that the threat is gone. But physics doesn't recognize ceremony. Objects don't understand symbolism. Weapons don't know the difference between war and celebration. Throughout history, some of the deadliest mistakes happened during moments that were supposed to be safe. Procedures were skipped because nothing bad happens now. Checks were relaxed because context felt controlled. But danger doesn't require hostility, only negligence. The human brain is most vulnerable when it believes the threat has passed. That's when attention drops. That's when assumptions replace verification. What makes these deaths especially cruel is their timing. The crisis was over. The battle won. Survival achieved. And yet the danger remained invisible, waiting for vigilance to disappear. Tradition doesn't reduce risk. It reduces fear. And fear, uncomfortable as it is, keeps people alive. Safety theater creates the illusion of control without providing actual protection. It teaches people to perform caution instead of practicing it. And history is filled with moments where performance replaced procedure with fatal consequences. The lesson is simple, and brutal context does not neutralize danger. Only awareness does. Not every fatal decision feels dangerous. Some feel petty, a locked object, a stubborn mechanism, a moment of frustration that sparks impulsive action. Humans like to believe anger becomes dangerous only when it's explosive. In reality, the most lethal anger is quiet. It compresses time. It replaces thought with motion. A single impulsive act can trigger a biological chain reaction that unfolds slowly and invisibly. Injuries don't always kill immediately. Infections don't announce themselves. Complications don't feel urgent until they suddenly are. Many historical deaths didn't begin with violence. They began with irritation, a belief that force would solve a small problem faster than patience. What makes these moments uncomfortable is how relatable they are. Everyone has felt that flash of frustration. Everyone has underestimated how fragile the human body actually is. History doesn't judge the emotion. It records the outcome. And the outcome doesn't care why the action happened, only that it did. Anger narrows focus. It convinces people that speed is better than caution, that action is better than restraint. And when that belief collides with biology, biology always wins. The damage doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs time. Modern life runs on systems, architecture, engineering, protocols, standards. We trust them because they work most of the time. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous. Systems are built for averages, not edge cases. They assume expected behavior, normal use, and compliance with invisible rules most people never think about. Failure doesn't mean collapse across the board. It means one precise point giving way under the right combination of stress. Repetition trains the brain to ignore possibility. If something works 10 times, we assume it will work the 11th. If it never failed before we stop imagining how it could. That's how confidence quietly becomes a weapon. Not because systems are weak, but because humans treat reliability as invincibility. When systems fail, they don't fail loudly. They fail cleanly, once at exactly the wrong moment. History is full of deaths caused not by broken systems, but by broken assumptions. The system did what it was designed to do, just not what the human expected it to do forever. And once that expectation collapses, there's no rewind button. American culture celebrates pushing limits. Work harder, sacrifice more, outperform everyone else. But the human body has boundaries. Ambition doesn't respect. Extreme stress, rapid weight loss, overexertion. These don't always cause immediate collapse. Sometimes damage accumulates quietly while success unfolds publicly. History records outcomes, not internal failure. A victory can arrive after the body has already given up. That's what makes these deaths so unsettling. They aren't punishments for failure. They're consequences of success achieved at an unsustainable cost. Biology doesn't negotiate. It enforces limits whether you acknowledge them or not. Winning isn't surviving, and history doesn't wait for you to recover before declaring a result. Every story you've heard follows the same pattern. None of these people believed they were taking a fatal risk. They believed they were acting reasonably, efficiently, intelligently. History doesn't interrupt those moments. It observes them. It waits for assumptions to stack just high enough that one small variable can bring everything down. The phrase "it'll be fine" isn't foolish. It's human. It's how people move forward. But history is ruthless with certainty. It doesn't care how smart you are, how prepared you feel, or how often something worked before. Gravity pulls, bacteria multiply, systems fail, hearts stop. The lesson isn't paranoia, it's awareness. Slow down when things feel routine. Question what's always worked. Respect limits that don't announce themselves, because history's deadliest weapon has never been stupidity. It's confidence. History doesn't punish ignorance, it punishes overconfidence. Every story in this documentary points to the same uncomfortable truth. Intelligence, experience, and success don't make us safe. They often make us careless in quieter, more dangerous ways. We stop questioning what feels routine. We trust systems because they've never failed us before. We push our bodies, our tools, and our environments just a little further because it worked last time. And that's where history waits. Not in chaos, not in panic, but in calm moments where nothing seems wrong. The lesson here isn't fear or paranoia. It's awareness. Progress is real, but it's uneven. Systems are powerful, but imperfect. The human body is resilient, but not negotiable. Slowing down, double-checking, respecting limits, and staying humble in the face of certainty isn't weakness, it's survival. If there's a warning buried in these stories, it's this: when everything feels under control, that's the moment to pay the most attention. Because history doesn't announce when confidence turns fatal. It just records the result. If this made you rethink risk routine, or the stories we tell ourselves about safety and success help keep this conversation alive. Like this video, share it with someone who needs the reminder, and subscribe for more dark history that doesn't just shock, it teaches.